Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. I have a favor to ask you guys before we get started. If you're watching this live or on the replay, can you do me a favor? And I'm going to go ahead and just say for Jessica's videos as well, make sure to hit that like button. And also, if you can hype the video, which is a new thing that YouTube is doing, you can hype it, and that helps us because once again, I think I'm back in shadow banning hell, which I think a lot of us who deal in the fringe side of the world find ourselves down on that in that neighborhood. So thank you guys so much for being here. I am so excited to have Jessica Jones. The world could not have given you a better name, Jessica, for what you do for a living. You guys, obviously, a lot of you guys know who this pretty lady is beside me. But if you don't, if you're new here, this is my friend Jessica Jones, who is the cryptid huntress. And I want to show you guys, if you are new here, make sure, oops, wrong button. Make sure that you subscribe to Jessica's channel, the cryptid huntress. Get her subs up because you are so incredible at what you do, Jessica. Hello. And you also have such a unique way, Jessica, of storytelling, which I know that a lot of cultures around the world have these storytelling as part of a lot of cultures, but in the South, that is especially a part of the culture down here in the South. And so I think the way that you're able to deliver these stories about your experiences is so uniquely Southern. And I just love it. So you guys make sure that you are subscribed to Jessica. Now, before we even get into it, Jessica, what days do you do your live so that everybody knows when you do your stuff?
Well, thank you, Bryce. I do live shows every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then I do them on Thursday nights. I have a remote viewing show, or it just depends. It's usually remote viewing at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then Saturday nights at 10 p.m. I have a On the Hunt show where we talk about all the cryptids and real encounters with cryptids on that Saturday night show. So yeah, I'm busy.
Whoops! Why do I keep doing this? I keep hitting the wrong button. You would think it was still Mercury retrograde, and it's not. So anyway, most of you guys, again, you know, Jessica and your shows are so fantastic. I'm so impressed that you're able to do a show at like 10 o'clock at night.
It's way past your bedtime.
Way past. I did one once with you at 10. I was so proud of myself. I was like, my 22-year-old self would have been proud of me. But yeah, no, Jessica's great, you guys. And of course, if you are in a different time zone, Jessica and I live very close to each other, so we're on the same time zone. But you can always check out the replays, obviously, of course, because this is YouTube, and so it keeps the video up for replay. Well, Jessica, before we get into it, how are you doing? How's everything going? How's life in your world?
It's excellent. Oh my gosh. I just got back from a Bigfoot expedition, actually. I was gone all weekend to an undisclosed location up in the Appalachian Mountains, Blue Ridge area, and the home of Cherokee legend and lore up there with the giants, the Bigfoots, the Dogmen, all that. We had a lot of crazy activity all weekend, and it was wonderful because I just came off the last weekend hanging out with you at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah.
Not too far from where I was this past weekend, actually.
And you guys had some pretty crazy stuff happen, didn't you? You were telling me.
We did. Oh my gosh, we did. Well, you know, we were camped out but I'm going to say about 50 to 100 yards from an old family cemetery. And that's always fun, sleeping by a cemetery of a old Appalachian on top of a mountain, which is really a prime territory of like Dogman and Bigfoot. Okay, so and we've had a lot of success over there at this particular area. We were out there about a year ago. We found a wonderful track line, and track lines are like footprints of like where something's been walking right in the same area. And always have a lot of good activity. But this time we camped out. We put cameras around everywhere. And we had some cameras placed. I think Dawn had 4 cameras on each corner kind of our camping area. We had about, I think there's 5 of us out there. And some of us were farther away from the other ones. And I was closest to the cemetery, actually. So I was actually going to sleep on Friday night, camping out. And I heard someone walking around our campsite. And I laid up, and I had Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I slept in the back of my truck. Okay. So sometimes I'll take my tent. I had my tent. Sometimes I'll sleep in the truck. It's just easier, make a pallet and stuff.
Yeah.
Lock the doors, Bryce. It's important to lock the doors. Yeah. Those dicey areas, I'll lock the doors, man. I don't
That's
care.
the thing. I've gotten that so much. We love our international community so much, but the most shocking thing culturally that I've gotten feedback from our international community are the Appalachian cemeteries. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys, just so you know, if you're watching from somewhere else, what Jessica is talking about, this is not a cemetery that's like with a church or like blocked off as a government cemetery. You will be hopping along Appalachia and you'll just see a random cemetery. And the story goes that when they were settling Appalachia and someone would pass away, they wouldn't be able to get the body to the church to be buried. And so they would just create these family cemeteries. And the wild thing is, you guys, if you're ever down here in the South, like traveling on the freeway or on a highway, if you pay attention, you're going to see places where the road splits. And if you look in there, most of the time there's a cemetery in there. And when they were creating the roads, they just split the road not to disturb
Mm-hmm.
the cemetery. Where my stepdad used to live, used to work, he's a geologist before he retired here in Atlanta. In the parking lot of his big corporate building that he worked for as a geologist, there was an actual cemetery. So in the middle of it, there was a parking lot. They didn't pave over it, and there was an old cemetery that they just listen. We're all superstitious down here in the South. We're not going to touch those cemeteries. So that is, and there's a cemetery that we take care of up in Late. I'm not going to say the name because we go up there and we clean it a lot. It's like 5 graves of a family, and it's really off the beaten path. We bring flowers, we bring whiskey and a Bible because it's the South.
Yeah.
We bring honey, all sorts of stuff, and we really try to take care of it for that family that's there. And so what do you think was walking around, Jessica? Do you think it was a ghost? Do you think it was a dogman, a Bigfoot, a skinwalker? What do you think it was? Were they
Well,
hunting you, or were they just kind of looking at you to see who you were?
it happens all the time when we're out there. And so so I had my camp set up on one area, and we were kind of in the same campsite, but my friend Keith was in the same campsite with me, but he was kind of down just a little ways from where I was in his tent. And then we had some other guys across the road, and then another set down the way. And so Keith and I were kind of in the same vicinity. And so I was thinking, if it had been Keith, I would have heard him unzip his tent.
Right.
Because when we all turned in for the evening on Friday, you can hear when everybody's, you can hear when everybody shuts down for the night. You know what I mean? Because it's really quiet out there. And so I knew that he was in his tent, and I was just kind of laying there, just not going to sleep yet because I was kind of listening, like I always do, about to fall asleep. And then I heard someone walking, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I was like, I haven't heard Keith's tent unzip. And so I sat up and I looked around. I had a 360-degree view. Okay. And I have tinted windows on my truck and stuff. So I was just sitting around looking and listening and waiting. And, it's really weird because your mind can play a lot of tricks on you in the middle of the woods. And when the wind was blowing, and I was trying to separate like the wind blowing the leaves around with maybe footsteps, but these were definite footsteps. And I didn't see anybody, and Keith's tent was still zipped up. And so I was like, well, it is what it is. We'll see what happens in the morning, and we'll see if anybody caught anything on the cameras. Because, like I said, it's typical. It's not that scary for me because it happens all the time. Now, what could it have been? Well, the next morning, Don, we're talking to Don, who had the camera set up. He actually had a computer screen in his tent with all the cameras doing live feed on his computer. We had some internet actually out there, and this time we usually don't have internet out there. But no internet, but we had internet this time, and he was monitoring all the cameras all night. He said he didn't even hardly sleep because he was watching. I mean, there was a lot of activity out there while we were sleeping, and he said that around that same time, this was within 10 to 15 minutes of us turning in for the night, that 2 light beings were walking around the road right beside my tent. And he thought that it was me and Keith but it wasn't me and Keith. It wasn't Keith and I. It was two just glowing figures, and he was like, "Well, I just assumed it was y'all because y'all were all the way, y'all were down that way, and it was
So it was like
definitely not us."
it was a humanoid form, like
Yes.
arms and legs.
Mhm.
What is I kind of have I had this a similar experience to this. I'll let you know. But what does he think that was? What does he think these beings are? Who does
He
he think?
doesn't know yet. Well, he said that he was going to go back and analyze the video because there's hours of video that he has and all these different cameras. So he said that he was going to be analyzing that this week, and he said that it didn't really even phase him that night because he just assumed it was me and Keith. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. We love our dogs. It's totally fine. Yeah. Well, as you're muted for a second, I had the same thing happen to me, Jessica, with a light being. I'll tell you, I don't know if I've ever even said this story before. It might be the same type of thing. So I teach, everybody knows I teach I teach twice a week in a little yoga studio, Yoga Shala in Marietta, Georgia. I live in Atlanta. You've been there before, Jessica, to this place where you've met Cindy, my friend who owns it. Cindy's been on this channel too. Cindy herself is very magical. She's very witchy. She's very all that stuff. Well, there one day a week, I teach a really, really, really early morning class. So I'll get there at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll usually like do my practice or go for a run or something, and then my class starts at 6. So I had already done my practice. I had already, I was in the bathroom kind of doing, y'all, this is going to sound so bad. I don't know if I can actually even say this word on YouTube, but I call it, we'll say an intimate worker's bath. I basically take a washcloth and just wash off the important parts. Starts with a W, bath. And I was in the bathroom, like changing clothes, fixing myself up for my class. And it was still dark outside. And Marietta, it's busy, but it's a suburb. So, and where her studio is very residential too. So sometimes you'll see cars drive by, you'll see the headlights come by. But again, it was still dark 30 in the morning. There's a window in the bathroom, and I'm getting ready, and this huge bright light. This is the second time in my life a bright light has like it went by the window. And my first thought was, oh, a car drove by, but then it kind of all registering at the same moment. That's a really bright light, and it kind of lingered, and it kind of stayed in the back. And Cindy has this like garden in the back where she does a lot of stuff, a lot of ceremonies and stuff. And so I ran back and I looked out the window of the back shala in the practice room, and there was this bright light entity kind of standing in the corner, and I didn't feel threatened by it. I mean, Cindy's super woo woo, I'm woo woo, this stuff happens here, like whatever. And so I felt peaceful about it, and I just went about my business, finishing getting ready, and I told Cindy about it, and Cindy was like, oh, I just did a blessing ceremony, so I think that probably was something that was coming in, because she does that kind of stuff. So anyway, it sounds very similar to what you guys picked up on the camera walking around. So I'd love to hear what people think that was.
Oh yeah. Well, we've got several options. Okay, several options. The first being Bigfoot. And when I say glowing, it was because of the heat signature on them. So it could be but they could. He said light beings is the way he described it. And so they were lit up, whatever it was. But it could also be because that was just the way the thermal imaging was picking them up, or the FLIR, whatever he was recording them with. I don't know. But it could just be night vision. It could have been white hot. Okay, but it could be apparitions. It could be S-walkers. I mean, it could be. I don't think it'd be dogmen because he probably would have noticed the legs were looking a little different. We had snouts and stuff, but yeah. But anyways, but my guess would be either a Bigfoot or an apparition.
Yeah,
considering
it could have been the like we where we do the cleansing of the graveyard. They passed away in the 19th century, so the 1800s. And we've developed kind of a relationship with this family and the patriarch of the family. Sometimes I'll hear him when we're there. We were up there once, like cleaning and putting flowers up. And we get like instructed by him, like what to bring. Like he wants a hymnal, a Baptist hymnal next time. He wants more color. Like he kind of tells us what to get him. And our dog Ravi was there, and he had like a little jacket on because it's colder up there than it is Atlanta. And Ravi's from South India, so he needs to be covered. And he was kind of running around while we were cleaning. And I heard a dog in a sweater. That's the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
They do a sweater.
He had a sweater. He's a dog in a sweater. That's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Because this is someone from the 1800s, right? They weren't putting sweaters in their dogs in the 1800s, but they do these. There's a guy I was following on TikTok where he goes and cleans old graves, and he puts a spirit box up while he's doing it. He films himself having conversations with the people who had passed. They thank you. My name is Mary. Thank you. Like, and he's like, oh, you're welcome. As he's cleaning there. So I think they do kind of. I feel like it's not like they're stuck there. I think they kind of live in a different world since they're past, and they're able. I think some people, their spirits kind of guard areas as well. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, we have Bigfoots and Dogmen guarding all these cemeteries too. Yeah, and that's why we go to places like that, because they are. That's one of the main places that people report Dogman encounters.
Why do you think
around cemeteries?
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're particular to these kind of cemeteries? What is it about these graves that they're so interested in?
Well, I was told by a Lakota medicine man, who's a friend of mine, that they have been summoned there by either curses or blessings, depending upon how you look at it, to protect that land at all costs, because that's sacred ground. It's sacred land. And any kind of, I mean, it's not just like Native American sacred ground. It's like all sacred ground.
Yeah.
And especially out in the Appalachians. I think that's why they're there. I mean, he told me it's not just Bigfoot and Dogman. It's like elementals and all that. Everything.
That's so interesting. Jessica, when I was taking a shower today, I was like, I need to ask Jessica about fairies, if she's had any experience with fairies. That's so weird you said elementals, but yeah, we always get, because Jessica, Todd and I have had multiple skinwalker experiences. It's like every time we go up there we have an experience. Like, I laugh, like at this point we're just going to start exchanging Christmas cards, because it's gotten that we've gotten that close to them. Nothing happened this past trip when we were up at the conference, but I think it's because we didn't go to any of the trails. We were solely focused on the conference, and so we were still we kind of stayed in the town, but I have gotten the feeling that the cemetery where we clean, that those people kind of help us with that situation a little bit. Like, I feel that's kind of that we do for them. We bring them whiskey and Bibles and hymnals and honey and all that kind of stuff. We do that for them, and in return they kind of help us. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, a lot of people take offerings to the Bigfoots. The forest people, they take tobacco and things like that as an offering.
That's what else do Bigfoots like? What else do they like? What is the perfect gift for a Bigfoot?
Well, I don't normally gift. I don't take things with me when I go, but people have reported taking blue marbles, or they will give you blue marbles, but something about the color blue.
Like marbles, like
marbles. Like glass marbles. Yeah. Which is interesting. Some people will just take trinkets, mirrors. I don't know. I don't take anything. I don't want to junk up the forest. Okay. Right. But yeah. Also food, some people will take, apples, and just depends. I mean, I had a friend who lived up in North Carolina who used to take whole chickens out there to them. I think he said it was rotisserie chickens or something.
Like, he went to the grocery store and got a rotisserie chicken and
whole chickens. Yeah, but here's the problem with that though. If you are doing that in a national forest, or you're doing it at a state park, there's Angel. What's up? You met Angel at the conference.
Yes.
And so when you do stuff like that, and you're leaving out food, and you're bringing it every time you come, and you're doing an offering at a place where other families are going camping, what happens, like when you're bringing these pretty often, and then you quit bringing them, and there's other families out there that are going to be in that same camping space, in that same area with children and pets and all that, the Bigfoots might start retaliating against people that don't even know why they're getting retaliated against. Because they're out there looking for food, so it's going to become an issue.
It's
with
like
other
feeding
people.
wild animals. Like they never want you to
Hmm.
feed wild animals so they don't become dependent. That makes absolute sense. And yeah, shout out to Angel. She's awesome. She came to the conference. It was so awesome to meet everybody who was at the conference. So shout out to you, girl. We're so happy you're here with us today too.
Oh yeah, whiskey.
Yeah,
She says Bigfoot likes whiskey.
who done at
Maybe
this point? I'm like, the
shot,
funny thing
shot,
is,
shot, shot,
shot,
shot.
shot, shot, shot. And that's a big Southern thing, right? Like we like our whiskey down here in the South, and we
Yeah.
every time we go visit our particular cemetery, I keep wanting to say the name. I'm not going to say the family's name. Again, we bring a Bible and whiskey, and people think that's so wild that we do that. But I'm like, that's the South, yo. Like a Bible and a whiskey, like that's just how it rolls down here. And so we put the Bible down, and Todd and I take a shot, and then we leave the rest for the family, and we bring honey as well. They always like honey and stuff like that, and they've asked for more color, so we're going to get like different colored flowers to go kind of plan around there. And another reason why I'm not saying the name is sometimes doing this, guys, even though in the South they're not too funny about you like leaving stuff on graves. That's very, you try to stop a Southerner from, I dare you to try to stop a Southerner from doing it. But we're going to go plant some flowers around their graves, which might not be technically legal, but that's what they requested. They want some pretty flowers, so we're going to do that when it's warmer out. We're going to go up there, and we actually thought about inviting you and Ben to come up there with us.
Oh yeah.
There's a great place to swim nearby and stuff, and just and to meet the family. A dog in a sweater, that's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. so so that yeah, we, I know, even in a lot of like hoodoo culture too, like leaving whiskey on train tracks, like it just seems like, and you know what, here in the South, how do we cure sore throats? Hotty toddy, you
Yes,
know,
whiskey.
whiskey.
That's
Yeah,
right.
whiskey and honey.
Or moonshine. I'm just kidding.
That's actually what our little guy has asked for, is moonshine. But
Really?
yeah, we haven't had a
I
chance.
might know somebody. I'm just
Awesome.
kidding.
Well, I think we could probably, Todd thinks he could make it himself. But yeah,
Oh,
we
well,
we
dang.
know your contact because you know, most people in the South have a jar of moonshine in their freezer
Every,
anyway.
just about everybody. They've got one in their in their pantry. It's in the pantry.
And no one's
Yeah.
in the I've talked to cops even in Atlanta about this, and they're like, we're not going to arrest a moonshiner unless we absolutely have to, because we're their customers too. Like,
Man, I heard a story recently about a sheriff actually who was, and I'm not giving any names away. I don't even know where this was at, but a sheriff was going up to the local moonshiner and filling his truck, the back of the police car, full of crates of the product, if you know what I mean, and taking it out of there. And I was like, well, what is, they're getting in trouble? They're like, no, he's getting paid off. I was like, oh my God, that's Appalachia for you. Right
that
there.
you
Yeah.
know, we always warn people when they go up to Clayton, like to watch their speed, because they'll pop you for speeding so
Oh,
quickly.
they're terrible.
That's literally the only thing that's like the only way they can make money, because they're not going to mess with the moonshiners. I always tell people, like, if you see an old man in like overalls coming out of the woods, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. If you're hiking and you see some old men in the woods, no, you didn't.
No.
They're not paranormal. They're moonshiners. Like, that's what they're doing. So but we had so much fun. I always say, Jessica, it's so what's so fascinating about these conferences and stuff with like Bigfoot or anything paranormal is when people come to these things, these are people who for the most part have had an experience, and they can't, and it's changed them. It has literally changed them, and they can't reason with it. They know what they saw wasn't normal, and so they're trying to find some answers. And it's so interesting to see people who have been literally changed by one moment in their life. And do you remember that moment for you, Jessica? Like when you had this moment of realization? You know, guys, we've talked about Mahalia Lancaster. I know Jessica's always been a little woo-woo, like I have always been. We're just Southern. That's just how we are. But what was that moment for you, Jessica, when you're like, oh my God, this can't be explained. What is this? What's happened to me?
Oh my gosh. Well, it goes back to my early childhood. is when I was having weird experiences. And, as a matter of fact, I used to talk to my audience over on my channel occasionally about how I hate. I always felt like I was being watched when I was a kid through my lace curtains in my bedroom. And I grew up in a log cabin my dad built. And it was a big log cabin, but it was still a log cabin. And we had cracks between the planks of wood and stuff, and it leaked, and it was like living on Little House on the Prairie, basically. I don't know, maybe it would have been worse. I don't know, because you could feel the wind coming through the cracks and stuff. When I was, we had spiders everywhere. There'd be a snake in the bathtub every now and then. Okay, I'm not kidding.
Love it.
And so, anyways, yeah, it was very common for us to put buckets all over the floor because the roof was gonna leak when it rained. Okay, but anyways, I still had fun. I had a great childhood. But anyways, so I hated these lace curtains. My mom had lace curtains. We lived in the middle of nowhere. I was on a farm. There were no houses for miles. The only house close to us was like some neighbors across the lake, and then my aunt, my cousin. So like, and nobody's coming down my driveway unless they wanted to FAFO. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so my dad would have handled that. But we had cows. The cows were our only neighbors, pretty much. And so my mom, I guess it was like, well, we'll just put these, they had lace curtains up, and at night, I slept. When I was like 11, 12, I moved down. I took the downstairs bedroom, and my sister, my brother, and my mom and dad were all upstairs. And so I thought I was being a big girl, and I would go down there, and we were just cleaning out my mom's, what do you call it? It's like a little tool shed thing. We had all of our old toys and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Well, we found all the clown toys, the clown dolls that were sitting in a rocking chair when I was a kid in that downstairs bedroom. My mom found all those. And I was like, man, this is why I'm so traumatized. I was so traumatized as a kid because when the lightning would strike, I would feel like there was somebody looking in my window pretty often. And then the lightning would strike, and I'd see these clowns in the rocking chair beside my bed. And then my dad had a taxiderm owl that had its arms spread, and it was like, and that would light up in my room as well. And it was just, that's how anyways, it has nothing to do with paranormal really. But I found a picture of my lace curtains. I'm going to put that, if I ever read a book, that picture's going in my book, because that really did shape me.
Everything to do with it. Because I remember growing up feeling like somebody was watching me too. My bedroom was on the second story. So looking out towards, I had like these wet windows in a corner, and looking out, like it was like straight down. And then it was like and I would feel very paranoid about that window at night, like someone was watching me. And I don't think I just don't think, like, I think be patient with kids. Yeah, I know kids can have an active imagination, but I think kids sense things sometimes that they talk themselves out of and don't sense as adults. But you feel that in the mountains sometimes too. Sometimes you're out in the mountains and you feel perfectly fine. And then there's sometimes you're like, something is watching me right now. You can feel it. And so, and I think when you have we'll call it The Shining, right? If you have The Shining, you definitely pick up on that kind of stuff. Do you think that there were any Bigfoot encounters you had as a child out on the farm that you didn't know that's what that was? Do you think it was like calling to you even at that young of an age?
I don't think I ever had any Bigfoot encounters when I was a kid that I know of. I was having more ET related stuff when I was a kid. And I always had this affinity to, like, I always wanted to go out and like lay down in the front yard or like get on top of a hay bale and watch for UFOs when I was a kid. I was obsessed with I loved UFOs and aliens and stuff. And I was really into ghosts. I was into Bigfoot. I was into all that as a kid. But most of I think that anything that would have happened to me when I was a kid was probably more ET related, I think. And so let's fast forward to like my teenage years. I'd lived in another location, parents divorced, all that kind of stuff. So we moved to the big city of a small town, essentially the metropolis of a small town. To me, it was a metropolis. But went out there and I was in this old, I used to do some volunteer work with my grandmother and stuff. She was a community organizer and stuff and politician kind of stuff. And I was doing some volunteer work at I hate to say this, but it was at the Rape Crisis Center is where I was volunteering when I was a kid.
Well, you know what?
I've had an interesting childhood, Raul.
They need help too. So
yes. Okay, but I was there and like thank God the phones were not ringing. Okay, but I was there to like take calls and stuff. I was like 15 or 16, I don't know, and and it was in this old mansion where the hospital was. The people who the hospital were named after had a mansion on the hill, and they call it a mansion, it's just a big old Victorian house.
Yeah.
And they had an office up in the like attic space of this place, and that's where I was. And I was like bored, and I was like still basically a kid, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go explore this house. And this is so you asked me like when did I know that everything was like this is for real, and I had some tangible proof. Well, this was my first ghost experience where I actually saw like it was face to face with a real ghost. What I thought was a ghost. But I opened up a door. I didn't know where I was going. I just opened up a door, and it was like I just saw a straight staircase down, and then it curved to the side. It was like a 90-degree angle down, straight down. And I'm looking down the stairs, and I see it. I thought it was a light. And I just thought there was a light on in there. And then I realized what I was looking at down in that little corner, like where the stairs turn. There was a ball, an orb of light suspended in the air, and it had like ribbons coming off of it like an octopus or something. And I'm sitting there looking at this like, what am I looking at? And I stared at it for just a minute, and then I shut the door, and I was like, okay, I probably don't need to open that door anymore.
There's that.
Yeah. But that was kind of like a paradigm shift in my reality. It was like, well, okay, well, I've been having these weird experiences my whole life, but I just saw a real, I guess that's a ghost. I don't know what that is.
That was not my imagination. That was something that was there.
Yeah.
No.
That was a first.
My mom told me my first ghost story when I was like 4 years old, because she's from the coast of South Carolina. If you guys have ever heard of the Gray Man, a very famous ghost off of Pawleys Island, we were there, and the rocking chairs were rocking with the wind. We were right on the beach, and it was at my family house, and my mom goes, "Oh, the Gray Man's gonna come tonight." And then she explained it. I was terrified for forever. I was like, "Who's this Gray Man?" Like I was like, but as a kid in the South, like you got to rip that Band-Aid off, because that's just how it is down here. You and Todd, it's so funny because you guys are the same blood type. I won't say it, but you guys are the same. And Todd is very fascinated with UFOs. He has a lot of UFO stories. For me, it was always the ghost. I was always very fascinated by the ghost. And it's so interesting how it's like, all these things would be considered paranormal, even though they all have their own categories, but they all change you. Like when you have that experience, they absolutely change you. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Jessica, you obviously, I know I'm biased because you're my friend, but I always think you're the best speaker at these events. And so at these Bigfoot conferences, people get up and they give their experiences and they talk about things, and Jessica does an incredible job. And it floored me because you talked about a recent Dogman experience. Where was this experience? Like super caught on camera by teenage girls. Bless their heart. We should start a GoFundMe for their therapy. They're gonna need now. Where was this experience? And explain it to my audience, because this, like, when you hear something and like your hair stands on end, because it's like, holy shit, what am I looking at? Like, this is terrifying, and this is crazy. Like, this is real, but like it's wacky. Like, what is this? So I was not even aware of such thing as Dogman until I met you. So for my audience members who only know of Bigfoot, like the Chupacabra and the Jersey Devil, what is a Dogman first and foremost? What is this?
Well, the Dogman is what a typical werewolf looks like, kind of what people think a werewolf is, but a werewolf is like a human who transforms into a wolf humanoid-like creature, right? Well, Dogman is a little different, but it looks like a werewolf. What you think what a werewolf would look like? As a matter of fact, we have a chart. There's a chart. I'm gonna remake that chart, because the ones that I've seen in person, the one I saw in person didn't look anything like anything on that chart. That there's like people that put those charts out of the different types, and some of them look like some of the werewolves from TV and stuff, and some of them look like German Shepherd. They have German Shepherd heads.
That's what I've seen, the advertisements of, like a German Shepherd head. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The one I saw looked like a panther. It had a panther's head, like a pit bull or something. But anyways, okay. So so there's different types. Okay, just like we have different types of Bigfoot. So there's kind of we've categorized Bigfoot into 4 different types. And there's, some are more animalistic, some are more human, some are more intelligent, some are looking for food all the time, that kind of stuff. Well, with dogmen, they just all look different. One of them looks like a hyena, and that's not even a dog. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's actually one of the most, I'm going to say, from all the reports that I've taken, all the people I've interviewed, I think the hyena type is the most common, actually.
Interesting. So it wouldn't even technically be a dogman at that point. Could this be something completely new, like a new cryptid then?
Could be. Well, and then we come into the conversation of, are they natural and organic, or are they created? Are they clone bodies and, experiments or something? And
What's your thoughts on that, Jessica?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're
Well,
natural, or do you think that the dogman is? Because I think I'm leaning more towards Bigfoot is natural, but I'm also leaning towards more dogman has been created.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a mix.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a mix. I think the Bigfoots are probably more. I'm sure there's some that have probably been created, but I think they're more ancient and they're organic. I think.
Yeah.
Now, I think that the dogmen, it just depends on, there's a whole lot of factors to it, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of reports of them in our national parks. The national parks are where we get a lot of Bigfoot encounters and stuff, and that's where I do most of my research. A lot of my research is in state parks, national parks, and things like that. We do private. They're in private land too. They know no boundaries. Okay, they're not surveying the land out there. They just roam wherever they want.
If you're Bigfoot, are you really going to give a shit if someone says this is my property line?
No. I mean, they're actually, David. I interviewed some of the guys in the field this weekend. I had my phone out and I did some interviews with the guys, and David Pardue out of North Carolina, a good friend of mine. He was talking about how he had taken some reports. He said he's had 3 dogman reports, all in the 30 years he's been doing all this Bigfooting and stuff. They were actually, some of the reports were, one of them walked up to a woman's house and looked in her front door window, was staring at her. And one of the other reports were there were 2 dogmen rummaging through a garbage can, like a big dumpster behind. I don't know if it was behind a store or a restaurant or something, but yeah, they look like they've got like almost like human torso, what I mean, and a dog's head. Most of the time that you hear about the digitigrade legs, that's like where their legs are like a dog's leg, like where it's kind of backwards down at the bottom. The joints are like, they're not like human legs. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's some that are reported that like having human like legs as well. So it's all different. But I think that agencies, let's just say agencies, do have some kind of, they're dogman breeding programs, dare I say. I mean, that's something that the cryptid community is pretty aware of. They talk about it. There's been whistleblowers. I've had whistleblowers on my shows say they've been part of those programs. I know people personally who say they've been contracted to eliminate some of the out of control dogmen. And
that's fine.
They're paid to do that.
Around like feral people too. Like I kind of have. And guys, when I say feral people, I'm not talking about people that just live off the grid. I'm talking about people that have never lived in like society like we live in. They kind of act animalistic. And American Horror Story actually covered a bit of this as well, which if they're going to cover it, there's some truth to it. And I have a feeling that these feral people are natural, but I think they're being kind of managed, whether they know it or not, by the government because they're in these like state parks. But I don't trust the government, so I feel like that they're going to use, because they're also cannibalistic, so they can use, and God, they can run up trees, they can do things that we can't do, and that's the thing too, Jessica. We know that we've heard so many accounts of like, especially the Appalachian Mountains, which technically run all the way up into the Scottish Highlands. So they go all up the East Coast, and there's a trail, an Appalachian Trail you can walk. Like it takes like 6 months to do the whole thing. And if you go on Reddit, of course, I know Reddit is accessible, but there are some really interesting stories that people are going to Reddit being like, what the fuck happened to me? Like now we know, we've been told that there's been an agreement that's been made that if the humans stay on the trail, they can't be bothered by anything like any paranormal, skinwalker, feral person, whatever. Do you think that's true, Jessica? Do you think that that is honored by these groups, we'll say?
I don't know about that. No, because there's people all the time that go missing off of these trails. And so I don't know. I used to promote this one person who wrote a book called, it's like the missing people guy. This is an investigator, but he decided to come at me a couple weeks ago. So anyways, there are missing persons clusters all over the place, and they are on some of those trails. Okay, they're in our national parks, and so I mean, it's nice to think, just to give yourself a little bit of self assurance if you're walking down those trails. Well, if I just stay on this trail, I'll be okay. But that's not necessarily true. I don't fully believe
More
it, but it's
populated, like the popular, like little segments of trails where there's more people. Maybe they'll stay a little bit. If there's a huge group of people, I don't know.
Maybe the cryptids wise, yes, but I mean, we really don't know who's taking all these people or where they're going.
Right.
I have an idea because I was given some remote viewing targets a while back about that, and they were blind targets, and I was seeing people getting kidnapped, taken underground or to some kind of facility, experimented on, and then being disposed of.
So. I think that's why it's so important to know things like your blood type. And because they're looking for certain things. And yes, absolutely. I wanted to recognize this comment. Oh, Jessica, I haven't been able to watch that. I'm upset too.
Me neither.
Like, why are grown ass adults
right
throwing temper tantrums? If someone can help, they can help. Like, to deal with that kind of environment of missing people, you can't tell me that you haven't considered the paranormal. Like, even cops in Atlanta, Georgia consider paranormal with certain situations. There's a house, it's considered the suburbs now here in Atlanta. It's called Roswell, not the Roswell that had the UFO crash, but here in Georgia, Roswell. It's an old Georgia town, and it is now considered the suburbs of Atlanta. But at one point, it was its own town, and they have like old antebellum houses up there, and they do ghost tours, and I love the ghost tours. But there's one house up there that now a lot of these old houses, people don't live in them anymore. They're like owned, and they're used as like event halls, like for weddings and stuff. And they were saying they always see like these two people in the upper window that look like they're in distress. And the cops have been called to that house so many times that the cops know now that it's a ghost. They'll still go out there just in case, but they're so like, yeah, they're so aware that this is haunted. So these cops are fully aware. I'm sure cops up in Clayton, Georgia, let us know if you're a cop watching from Clayton, Georgia. I'm sure we both would love to talk to you. I'm sure they have experiences a lot with these kinds of things, all that kind of stuff. They know there's just things you cannot control. There's an unseen world out there. And when you are in the dead of Appalachian Mountain, you know that you are powerless. Like, you know that there are things beyond your control up there because it's so big and it's so majestic. It's beautiful. And so, yeah, I don't understand why anybody would do that, especially since you promoted his work. Like, have some grace, bro. Like,
it's okay. It is what it is. And here's the thing. Well, I had a good friend of mine, my buddy Nick Sylvester, came on the show, and he was talking about how, the establishment, let's just say the establishment, the cabal, whatever you want to call it, the 3-letter agencies have been trained to, always demand proof from people. I need proof if something happened. Like, when we're talking about these missing people and stuff, let me rewind a little bit, because see, I started off when I was taught remote viewing. I've been trained for decades, over almost 2 decades now. And a lot of my high priority targets that I was given, I'm just given a set of coordinates, and they were missing people or cold cases. And so that stuff, I didn't talk for 10 years publicly about any of my Bigfooting or definitely not the remote viewing. And so I was given a lot of missing persons cases, and cases where people were just missing. I had no idea where they went. And I was able to, with my data, I literally have located plenty of bodies. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've located bodies and stuff. And my thing is, if I had a loved one go missing, the first the first people I would contact would be remote viewers, real remote viewers, the ones that even psychics, people that just do psychic work and stuff. I would exhaust all my options until I found my missing loved one. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I can understand. Listen, I understand what I do with the remote viewing is not for everyone, and especially, investigator. Dave, that guy is an investigator. He's also a Bigfoot field researcher too. So it's kind of weird that he knows all about the paranormal and aliens, and movies are on UFOs and stuff.
Like, judge not lest you be judged, bro. Like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Like, literally, come on.
Well, this is where I'm kind of going with this. Okay. And I hate to say this, but Nick was on my show, Nick Sylvester, last week, and he was like, he didn't know about all this. He didn't know the whole story about what had happened with, the rift, I guess. And he was like, well, people that are in the machine, part of it, are like always demanding proof, and so here's the thing. Someone had written into that man, and with my remote viewing data, kind of given a summary of my data. It was kind of off a little bit, but it's okay. Shout out to whoever sent that letter to him. It's fine. I would never send my data to him because I know he doesn't like remote viewers and psychics. He doesn't bring that into the conversation. And when he does, he complains about it. So people like that, I would not even send my data to them and talk to him about that because he wouldn't listen anyway. So, but somebody did, and he flipped his lid on air, and he was very upset about it. So it was kind of funny because he said my name and stuff, and I was like, well, I'll just bring more viewers over to my channel.
Right? There's no such thing as bad press, right? Well, this is my thought. That I'm glad you made this comment because this is my thought exactly. Why not use all the tools possible, especially tools proven to be used by the government? If the government's using it, we should be able to use it as well.
Yes.
And so I think, and that's the same thing. If I ever go missing, I want you guys heard it here first. Jessica Jones and Candace Owens. I want both of them on case because they will find me in a heartbeat. Yes. If they can't find who took me. So,
girl, we'll do a deep mind probe. I will find you.
Find Jessica Jones. So, it's sad when that happens because listen, none of us really know. I mean, we're in a third density where Todd and I are both students of the law of one. We have first density, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. We're in third density. Third density is a very heavy density. It's a density where we go through amnesia before we come here. And so it's not the density of knowing. And so for us to throw everything out because it makes us uncomfortable is very ignorant. It's a very ignorant thing to do. And who cares how your loved one is found if it means your loved one is found, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So
well,
yeah.
The thing that Nick was saying, I keep sidetracking myself, y'all. I'm so sorry. The thing that Nick was saying was like, well, there are people in these like 3-letter agencies, let's just say, that are trained to always demand the proof. And here's the thing: they know the answers. They have the proof. They have it's like a control switch, kind of like the disclosure of things, like these missing people. And it started making me wonder, like, if he's got such a block there against psychics and people really looking into it, and he's like telling people not to follow me and stuff, and like and I was like, well, maybe he's part of the machine. Maybe he's part of the problem, because that's what Nick said.
And I was like, controlled opposition. It does. It really does.
It's all
controlled opposition. I appreciate this comment. I think we both do. Listen,
thank you.
I'm always laughing. You guys seen those TikToks or Instagram reels where like if somebody abducted me, I would annoy them so bad that they'd probably return me. I would be like, never mind. My ADHD would kick in and I'd be so annoying. They'd be like, never mind. Just go back.
Go back through the window, man. Yeah. Just like on The Simpsons.
Go back. Yeah. I'd be like, oh my God, can we stop for ice cream? Oh my God, why did you pick me? What's it about me? Am I special? Like, I would annoy the shit out of them. Oh my God.
I would just beat everybody up as much as I could. Go for that extra hidden weapon I've got somewhere hidden. You know what I mean?
I'd be like, I'm hungry, but it needs to be like vegetarian. Like, can we go somewhere vegetarian? Like,
I don't eat meat. You need to give me something with vegetables.
I know, right? Is this water purified? Like, I would be so annoying.
Do you have some hand sanitizer?
Exactly right. And absolutely, gatekeepers. That's what that is these controlled opposition become gatekeepers, and that it's such a real thing. There's so much controlled opposition on YouTube. Todd and I have talked a lot about undergrounders, which aren't coming from underground bases. It's a whole other topic. We could do a whole show on that if you guys want to, about the undergrounders, which are people who are put in the public eye with an agenda and get you to follow a certain narrative that isn't. It's like they're kind of rounding you up, so anyway,
corralling us is what they're doing. And that's like what Nick had mentioned. That Nick was talking about how, like, they get these, we get into like groups of like the open-minded, like, let's just say, for instance, I don't know, conspiracy theorists or something, right? There's like that big thing, and we start to see like some of the programming breaking down, or the controllers do. And so like they got everybody corralled thinking they're like so woke, they're so awake. And some people they have like a couple of people who go out into the public, kind of like yourself and me, maybe. And we're kind of like making people think another way and like expanding people's consciousness. And so then they're like, oh, well, so there's like a break in this corral. So like they go try to build another corral around that little corral. And like, so they bring somebody else into the mix to like, like you said, like one of these undergrounders or whatever, to come and be like, oh, well, I'm woke over here and this is this way. It's like it's constantly being like kind of controlled. Absolutely. And so people like us are getting squashed down all the time because there's always
controlled.
Yeah, we're not controllable. Okay.
And I've gotten emails, I'm sure you've gotten them before too. I've gotten emails where people want me to do sponsorship, which is great. Sponsorship is great for YouTube, but I always look, and sometimes they want to pay me to say something. Yeah. And I will never take that. I'm like, you cannot pay me to say shit. Like, I will say what I want to say. I am too sassy for that. Like, and especially speaking of Candace Owens, it was just released that there was a huge payout to a bunch of these like truther, freedom fighter influence to say an actual script about Candace Owens. So this is very, 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 very real. There's an actual tarot card reader, I'm not going to say the name, who is known, it has come out hardcore. She has a huge following, but she's controlled opposition. She's paid by the 3-letter agency to get people to believe things like child transportation, we'll say, is already taken care of. It's already finished. Like, it's fine. Like, no, it's not. It's still going on, And so it's part of the control. And I'm like, the controllers of this world, the establishment, whatever you want to call them, they are many, many things, but stupid ain't one of them. Mm-hmm. And they watch astrology. They know when certain astrological, so they try to control it. So you have to be very careful about who you watch. I always say on my channel too, Jessica, like, I'll present my research, but it doesn't mean that I'm right. Like, you do your own research. You do your own research into this. And that's why we get shadow banned, guys. That's why we get have to beg you to hit the hide button, because we get pushed in the corner because we're not, I would say the name, but I'm not going to, because they're very dangerous. It's a female. And she's very, very dangerous. So anyway, so with that being said, Jessica, let's get back into this wild story about this dog man in a cemetery.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I have never, not one time, been offered money to say something I didn't want to say. I was a little disappointed. I was like, man, nobody wants to come try to bribe me or anything. Like, I would love just to be able to say no to somebody. But nobody's done that. I've never been like, where's all this money people are claiming people are getting offered and stuff? I never got that offer.
I'll have to see if I can find some. Right when my channel first got big, I was getting some offers, and I was like, this feels sketchy. Like, I was like, no, I'm like, I'm not. It was right when I was like doing the missing books of the Bible, which caused a huge uproar. I got like threatened from this guy in Canada, a Bishop Larry Gators, like threatened to like fly to Atlanta and like cut my head off in Jesus's name, because I was reading the missing books of the Bible. That's all I was doing. Was reading. And it got stopped, because you can't do that. Like, you can't come into another country. Like, they're going to stop you. But that around time is when that happened. And I started getting all these like emails offering, and I was like, no, I'll take sponsorships if it's a product that I like if it's, and you can get a discount, like, I'll do that helps channels out. But like, to say something, I'm not going. And even with product stuff, I always, if I like it, I'll promote it, which I'm going to promote my own product here in a moment. But yeah, it's It's wild out there, you guys. It is wild. I'm like, don't threaten me with a good time. I will expose this shit. One day I'm going to expose all these emails when I feel like it's safe to expose these emails. So, with that being said, all right, girl.
Back to the Dogman. Sorry.
No, this like literally was the wildest thing that I heard. Like for me, I was like, what the fuck? Like this is like, I mean, I believe in this stuff, but to believe in it and then to see footage are two totally different things. And like Angel, if Angel's still in the chat, she'll have to let us know how she felt too, because she was also at the conference, because this like made my skin run cold. So give us the story, Jessica. What happened to these poor, bless their hearts, these poor like young girls just trying to take a lunch break? Like what happened?
They were taking their supper break, according to Colleen Norris. That's the lady who is a field researcher from up in Akron, Ohio. And Akron has a lot of Bigfoots and Dogmen, actually known for their Dogman sightings up there. And so these two girls were really not that traumatized too bad, because they thought it was a dirty old lady the whole time. They kept saying in the video, I play the video every time I give a conference. You know, Colleen, I give a presentation at a conference or something. That's part of my presentation. Like I always include that slide when it's appropriate. And because I think it's one of the best videos. If there's a real Dogman on camera, that one's it. Okay.
What?
And
yes, hold on one second. Did I you here? No, they're still there. Good. Okay, so this is just for you guys. So this is Akron, Ohio, from our international audience. It's considered like what part of the Midwest. So it's right there. It's kind of just directly north of me. I've been to Ohio. Ohio's a beautiful state, by the way. It's gorgeous. There's also that weird snake park in Ohio as well.
The Serpent Mound?
Yes. Isn't that in Ohio?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, well, actually, Ohio is in Portage County, Ohio. That's where they've had all of these recent Bigfoot sightings. There was like 8 or 10 Bigfoot sightings the past couple of weeks. And also a meteor that there's a whole lot of look, there's my channel right there. I just saw the Cryptid Hunters on there.
I'm looking to the video. I'm like trying to find links to the video.
You can look up Ohio grave digging Dogman.
All right, I'll take it off the screen while you're talking about it, so people don't have to see shoving around the internet. So Ohio.
Ohio Dogman, there's a lot of them. So I would look up Akron or grave digging Dogman. Colleen, put in Colleen's name, Colleen Norris. She talks about it. You can probably find it on my channel too, but on YouTube you can find some shorts and stuff that will show it. I have the full video that I show, like I said, on my presentation, because Colleen sent that to me. She owns that video, actually. And those two girls, let me start at the beginning. These two girls were teenagers, and they actually ended up being best friends with Colleen's daughter. Okay. And they knew that Colleen was a Bigfoot field researcher. And so they didn't know what they had seen in the cemetery. So these two girls worked at a local restaurant. They were on their supper break. They were on their break. And, like back in the, 90s, I used to hop in my car, my friends' cars. We'd go ride around too. And, just go ride around, cruise the town, cruise the plaza, as they used to call it, back when we were growing up. But small towns, yeah, you're going to go cruise around. Probably want to go smoke a cigarette or something. I don't know. I'm not accusing them.
Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking too. But that is
to go vape.
I've actually got your channel pulled up. I'm gonna finish the story, Jessica. But I marked it where you show the video. And guys, I did put a link to the actual video from Jessica's channel in the chat, so the link is there.
Thank you.
Keep going, Jessica.
Okay, so they turned off into a cemetery on there when they were cruising around, and they noticed there was like somebody frantically like digging into the ground. And one of the girl that was in the passenger seat, pulled out her cell phone and started filming it. She started videoing it. And you can see what looks like a person wearing, at first it looks like a person wearing like all black maybe.
Yep.
And they're like kneeled on the ground beside a big mausoleum in the cemetery plots. And they're frantically like flailing their arms up and down like this. And they drove a little bit closer, and they're like, what is that? And you can hear them say in the video, is that what is that dirty old lady doing? What is that dirty woman doing? And as she's filming this, they ended up not getting anywhere too close to it, and they ended up leaving. But they got some really good video footage that has been slowed down. We've got screenshots of it. It's pretty wild.
Should we?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
crazy. It's and like thank God kids today have filming apparatuses on their hands. And I was as you're saying that, I saw a comment from here that she loved the cryptids in Atlanta. And I'm sitting here thinking like there could have been many times I passed a Dogman at Piedmont Park and just literally thought it was a junkie. So I don't
maybe.
kids. Should we play the video? Because I think I got it right before you play the actual footage. Should we do it?
Yeah, just you can just fast forward through and find that video. Absolutely. And I wanted to say, Rhodey, Prince Arcane was who I interviewed, who was on the show talking about the cryptids in Atlanta. He's in your chat right now, Bryce. He's in the chat too. What's up, Prince Arcane?
I think we're like right before.
There it
like,
is. Well,
like
there's some still shots.
A little bit before. Okay, you guys see it? Like
that's a still shot, and with his arm up in the air, and so, well, Colleen. So when the girls got home, they knew there was something. They had captured something weird, and so they were watching the video and they were saying, so they noticed that it looked like it had ears on top of its head.
Yeah.
And it was all black from head to toe, and it didn't look human. I think they realized this thing did not look human. And so Colleen took the video to her that day or the next day. And Colleen went out there that was on a Friday night. On Saturday morning, she went to the cemetery. And I think you just showed a picture. There might have been a picture right there. That's the hole. And you can see that's the knee indentation where the knee was. What's that, Prince?
That is a big ass knee indentation. It looks like
yes.
What somebody had like a hockey pad on their knee or something.
Yes. Okay. So Colleen went. Now these are gravestones right there where cremains are buried. So it's not where this is a big cemetery in Akron, Ohio. That area is okay. So I gotta explain these pictures. This is wild. So this is where the cremains go. You see that headstone right there to the left of that. That is Colleen's friend. She knows the man who's buried. His cremains are buried there. Well, that plot where the hole was is where his wife is going to be buried, and she's still alive. She hasn't died yet. So it was interesting because Colleen went and she went on Saturday and that hole was there. Well, she took her tape measure, as any good researcher would. She measured the hole, how the width and the depth of it. She got pictures of all of everything around it. It was just something had just flung dirt up everywhere. And she measured. She was like, look, the measurements don't add up to a human's arm length. She said from where the knee was down into the hole, the bottom of the hole, it was like way too long for a human arm. Okay. And so she was like, there's no way that was a human out there. And so she said that she took all the measurements. She took pictures of all the surroundings. She took note of everything. Well, she went back on Sunday. The hole was still there, exactly like it was on Saturday. Well, she went back on Monday to see if anything had changed. And the staff had shown up for the cemetery. They covered up the hole like someone had been buried there. She knew there was no one buried there because she knew the person who owned that plot. And she went and she asked the office, she said, hey, what happened out here? This is my friend's plot. It looks like she's still alive. Looks like you've put flowers on her grave. And they're like, oh, well, we just had an animal that came and dug a hole, and it happens all the time. That's what they said. But they made it look like someone had been buried there. It was fresh.
Jessica, like they're sitting in their little meetings. They're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Because this Dogman, because it does not look human. When you look at this, I think the still shots are actually better than the video because you actually see it. That's not human. It's an animal, but it's moving almost like a human would move, but in animal form. Can you imagine like them freaking out and they did it in broad daylight. So it wasn't even trying to hide. Like it wasn't like tee hee hee, let me hide and do this. Boo. No, it did it in broad daylight. And so these girls were taking footage of it. Can you imagine that meeting where they're like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, what do we do? And someone's like, just put flowers on it, make it look like, and then to have some researcher go, that's my friend's space and she's not dead. So what's this? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually kind of feel sorry for these, like, and I'm sure they have experiences all the time. You said they have wild animals. I mean, I have a dog. My dog digs holes, but not like that.
No, that's what they said, Bryce. That doesn't mean that it was a real
I know.
An right. Animal. That was there's all sorts of Colleen had taken a whole lot of different reports of dogmen in that same exact area. Some were actually seen because the highway is right by, I think she said the highway is like right behind that cemetery or right near it.
Yeah.
And a lot of dogman sightings were over around that highway too. And I see there's somebody in your chat named Pathfinder, and they've had some pretty good information on these dogmen. And that is correct. I've seen that video. There's actually a video of what looked like a dogman that kind of stopped traffic and it jumped over one of the barriers, I think.
No way.
The median or something. Yeah, it's wild. I mean, there's lots of videos online. I mean, you can go on a lot. Today you got to worry about AI.
Right.
And having fake videos, because that happens too. But
do you think that's why they bring AI out to make real videos look fake?
Yes, I think so. Potentially. I mean, it's a cryptid researcher's worst nightmare.
Yeah, well, ghost research. Yeah, exactly. And I as well. And I just, like I said, I need to start paying attention more, because I think in Atlanta, I walk around, I think, oh, that's just a crackhead. Like, I never like take the time to actually look.
Dirty old lady.
Speaking of dogs, though, this one question somebody asked me, and I want to ask it, but before I forget to ask it, before we move on to the next section, the Devil's Tramping Ground. Okay. Somebody asked me if you bring dogs to hunt Bigfoot. Actual dogs.
Absolutely not. No.
No.
It's never.
Because they could get attacked, couldn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the Bigfoots don't like dogs out there. Now, I'm not saying they don't like all dogs, okay? Because I've got, like, you're going to have Jerry on your show next week.
Yes.
And so Jerry has a fantastic story. Ask him about his dog who went missing. She was blind. She was like 18 years old or something. I don't know. She was an old lady dog, but a little tiny. I don't know if she was a Chihuahua. But she had no teeth. She was blind, and she went missing out of, I guess he lives deep in the Appalachians of Western North Carolina. Yeah. And the dog disappeared. She was gone for, I forgot how many days. I think it was definitely over a week, maybe almost 2 weeks. Okay. And he just assumed the dog had died. Something had taken her. And that was his little baby.
Oh yeah. And that's heartbreaking.
One day, the dog just showed right back up, right in the middle of that dry creek bed. And she was fatter than she was before when he left her, when she ran off or whatever. And something had taken care of her, but she smelled like an armpit, a stinky armpit, he said. And so he actually thinks that potentially she was taken by a Bigfoot. He's got Bigfoots all around the property out there. And he thinks that they were taking care of her for all that time and maybe had her up underneath their armpit or something.
Well, and my boyfriend has a quick story about the smell too, because his father was in the military, so he lived many places, and he has a memory when he lived in Alaska when he was a little boy of being out with his mom's church group picking berries in Alaska, and a Native American woman was like leading the group, and Todd says he remembers just this awful smell just came about. And the Native American lady who was hosting it was like, we have to leave now. We have to leave now. Come on. And in his research, he has realized that was probably the sign that there was a Bigfoot nearby. And, those little old church ladies, like, we don't want to scare them. So that is interesting. She spelled it. She got fat and sassy. What's that news?
Sassy.
When the South was going to say, we're going to eat lots of desserts, lots of bread, just get fat and sassy. So she fat and sassy. So, well, you guys, I want to move on to the Devil's Tramping Ground, which we talked about on Mystery Monday last week. And it was so funny because I saw Jessica at the conference. And usually when I have a remote view something, I don't tell her what it is. We got talking about it. And literally we must have been telepathic because she had covered it already on her channel. But before we get into this, speaking of sponsorships, guys, I'm going to show a quick commercial for my product. So this is from me. So hold on one second. And Jessica, if you need to go to the bathroom or anything, it's going to be a couple-minute commercial. So here we go, guys.
Okay.
Let me pull it up. Here we go.
What if your workout could do more than just change your body? What if it could change your life? For me, my story didn't start in a gym or a yoga studio. It started with the unexplained. As a child, I experienced things I couldn't understand. Paranormal moments that pushed me to ask bigger questions about life, energy, and purpose. That curiosity turned into a journey, one that took me all the way to India, where I studied traditional yoga at its source. Through years of education, I became the only female in the state of Georgia authorized to teach this practice in its true, authentic form. But I didn't stop there, because I realized most people don't have the time or the space to step away from their lives to go and find themselves. So I brought that wisdom home and built something new, Fusion Body Studio. This is a place where we combine strength, bar, cardio, and authentic yoga into something powerful, something intentional. This isn't just about sweating. This is about aligning your body, your mind, and your spirit. You're not just showing up to burn calories. You're showing up to transform, to release stress, to build strength, to reconnect with who you really are. This is fitness with purpose. This is movement with meaning. This is Fusion Body Studio. And right now, you can take the first step. Use discount code BRICE20, that's BRICE 20, all caps, at checkout, and get 20% off your first 6 months. Your transformation starts here. Because after all, being spiritual is getting to know your own spirit, the one that pulses through your veins. If you would like to join us over at Fusion Body Studio, all the information is down in the description box below.
All right, you guys. So again, I studied traditional. Lived in India for a long time, studied traditional yoga because my life was like, what the hell's going on? Nothing makes sense. And so I started to study traditional yoga, and it's really helped ground me and helped keep me sane. And this is what I do offline for a living. So if you would like to join us, we'd love to have you. You do get the first 7 days for free to try it out to make sure if it's for you. We are also talking about the lymphatic system right now, which is super interesting. We just did a whole lymphatic flush video, and a course lecture. So make sure to join us if you want. And now, Jessica, let's talk about something very fascinating, which I just discovered. It's in North Carolina, and it's the Devil's Tramping Ground. So what can you tell my audience if they missed my Mystery Monday or your last episode? What can you tell my audience about this place in North Carolina that's called the Devil's Tramping Ground?
Well, I think it's in a place called Bear Creek, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the exact name of it, but there's a place in North Carolina in the middle of the woods that has a large circle of barren ground, and it's just dirt. Nothing will grow there at all. It's actually on private land now. It's owned by they let people go camp out there and stuff, but they call it the Devil's Tramping Ground. Now I can read, let me read to you what this is exactly. Okay. Cause I just did a show on this. That was a few months ago, but the Devil's Tramping Ground is a mysterious clearing in the woods of North Carolina where 2 paths lead to what is a perfect circle where nothing grows. And if anything is placed on the path or circle, it will be moved the next morning. As the tale is told, the devil himself walks up one path leading to the circle, tramps around and around, thinking of evil thoughts and plotting against the good. Another story associated with it is that the Indians, the Native Americans, before the white man came, would meet for feasts there, and after eating would do a war dance, tramping around the circle, which is why nothing grows there. Another legend is that 2 rival Native American tribes met at the tramping ground, and a fierce battle ensued, and the chief Croatan was killed and buried on the spot. And it was speculated that the circle stays clear because of the great spirits are still in mourning for their fallen leader. And whatever the legend, the circle remains barren to this day. And it's unknown who actually named this the Devil's Tramping Ground. And it's a weird spot. People will go there and want to go camping. I would never put my tent in the middle of that thing ever, because things get moved out of there by themselves at night.
Yeah,
so.
it's when I covered it, it looks like it's been known since like settler times that they wouldn't put anything in this area, and yeah, that people will put like, you can go and like I don't know, put like a pin in the middle and then it's moved the next day or something heavier. And I just saw pictures, we were scanning through the pictures of the images where it snowed, but yet there was no snow on the Devil's Tramping Ground. Now, I also thought, before you get into what you picked up when you remote views, that this also to me looks like a fairy circle.
It does, yeah.
So I don't know. So what did you pick up on this when you remote viewed it?
Well, in summary, I picked up this was a big vortex of some sort. And I was actually just watching this show that I did on this with Barry Littleton earlier this morning when I was getting ready to come on here with you. And because I was trying to refresh my memory on all this. And so I was reading off my data for the remote viewing target, and then Barry was giving his input. He's a really smart dude. He's really smart. And so let me go over some of the data that I had for this.
Okay. Awesome.
So some of my sensory data that I was picking up on remote viewing, this is from a coordinate remote viewing target. I was given a blind set of coordinates. That means I didn't know what these coordinates were. Just got some numbers, and I squeezed all this data out of those numbers. I wrote round, stiff, circular, close, spinning, energized, long, above, and enigmatic, like I can't talk, an enigma.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a tongue twister kind of. Okay. And so for my analytic overlay, like this is me trying to like make sense of like what I'm seeing, what I'm sensing. This is what I wrote down: subtle energy shift, roundabout, off kilter, vortex, tornado. Vortex and a tornado, circulating air, circulating energy, take turns, portal. I read a portal with a question mark this last. Tree portal, a tree portal, packed in tightly is something I wrote down. I was smelling roses. So like I knew that I was outside in nature. So I wrote down, or that's what I felt like I was. I wrote down nature, natural, enigma. And I actually wrote down cryptids as well. And I wrote, this is kind of like what the drawing was that I'd written. It looks like a vortex going down, like a tornado, some kind of spinning thing going down. But I also wrote some that were going up on the next page. Okay. So it was like energy going up and energy going down. All right. And I found that interesting because I took a break during my show and I was asking Barry, like, what do you make of that data so far? And he said, well, it's really interesting because what came to mind with him were what he calls circulating light beams. Circulating light beams. Now that has something to do with like quantum, like time travel. Okay?
Yeah.
It has to do with time science, time tech. And before I even finished the data, I was already making connections to this circular energy vortex, this portal, with not only Mel's Hole. I think you and I have talked about Mel's Hole before, potentially.
Yeah.
Mel's Hole out in, where is that? Washington or
Yes, right. It's the hole where they don't know how deep. It's like I covered it a long time ago on my channel, and I can't quite remember the details of it, but it's like they don't know how deep it goes, and things come out of it and go into it. And the natives had legends about it. Kind of like Huska Castle too.
Huska, I love that too. I remote viewed that.
Girl,
I did.
That is crazy.
That I was given. I did that in the past few months as well. And that's, where is that at? Is it Czech Republic, I think?
Yeah, it's near Prague. That was one of the first things I covered on my channel. I was like, WTF, like this is what, and they built a whole castle around it just to keep whatever coming out of it in. Yeah.
And you know, the schmotzies, as we like to call them, they actually took that over during World War II, and they did that to harness the power of hell, they said.
Yeah. Of course they did. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it's the same with Mel's Hole too. That was taken over by the government as well. Mel was kicked off that land. That was eminent domain, basically.
It was the same thing. It's kind of the same thing as Huska Castle.
Yeah. Well, I think that they're doing time travel experimentation. I think it's a portal of some sort. I mean, we were actually making the connection to like Tipler cylinders and things that are, it's all for time travel and teleportation and stuff. I mean, that's kind of like what some of these projects, as far as the Montauk projects were, the
Yeah.
teleportation, the Philadelphia experiment and the sending kids back in time to give our president's messages through Project Pegasus and all this. It's all being weaponized by our government.
Oh,
All of it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
All of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you think that the Devil's Tramping Ground is one of these spots that this can happen to, but it's maybe smaller than Mel's Hole and Huska Castle?
Mhm. Well, it could be. Well, see, the Devil's Tramping Ground is not a hole.
No, it's not.
It's
It's
not a
like a
hole.
disc. It's like a
So it's different.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's different, but I also think that there's something similar about it too. There's some kind of strange circular energetics going on there. I mean, I was picking up on like energy going up and energy going down. I actually, let's see what I wrote on the rest of my data. I had more data for this,
Oh,
and
go,
and
get
I
it.
was picking up on like magical. It was almost like magical symbols, like triangles with like the circle in the middle
Right.
and a
Right.
circle with a triangle in the middle. So it was like opposites. Like I don't know, but I wrote down. I was picking up on some kind of frequencies, and okay, here's something else that I started picking up on too. I picked up on that I was out in nature, but I was seeing mountains in the distance, mountains around. I wrote land, forest, Cashers, North Carolina was in my data, and Cashers is where they have those sky ships over Cashers. Are you familiar with that?
No, but I mean you were
Spaceships?
close. You were close with I'm looking at runes right now because she talked about the symbols, so I'm looking to see if there was any
Oh yeah.
but
Well,
no.
okay, so Cashers, North Carolina. I've actually seen the sky ships over Cashers. I was with Chief David, this gentleman who was an elder of the Cherokee up there, and he took us camping on some property beside his house. And at night, when we were up there camping, by the way, we had a skinwalker. I did have an encounter with a skinwalker up there, and his buddy Will started yelling at it in this old dialect of Cherokee to get out of there. It was actually creeping up on us from behind our tents, and it
Oh
was
my God,
crazy.
I
It
would
was
love
a,
to hear that story.
it was one of the wildest trips I've ever taken. We had Bigfoots and all that out there. We went to Judicola Rock with them, and it was great. But so Chief David was like, "Hey, do you guys want me to call in the sky ships over Cashers?" And so we were like, "Of course we do. Why wouldn't we?" And so he took his staff that had like a crystal at the end of it or something, and he started, shaking it in the air, and he started chanting and stuff, and he started tuning in, and lo and behold, 4 spaceships, like 4 objects, came and sat over us on 1, 2, 3, and 4, all around. We were on top of a mountain, and they were there until the sun came up. Both nights we were out there. I think we were out there 2 or 3 nights, but yeah, every time we were out there, he'd just be like, "Y'all want me to call him in?" And whenever he felt like it or we felt like it, he'd call him in. They'd show up. So he said they were, you know, he told us, he believed that his people were from the stars.
Yeah.
And I do believe there is a connection to the Palladians potentially with the Cherokee, but anyways, they're called skyships over Cashers. You can go to there's a website called Skyships Over Cashers.
See,
And
I was looking.
Jerry and those guys just interviewed the lady that runs that channel or that website. So you'll have to ask Jerry about that when he comes on.
I absolutely will. Let's look it up, guys. Like I just pulled it up.
Skyships Over Cashers. That was in my data for this Devil's Tramping Ground.
Well,
for
that
some
makes
reason.
sense. I mean, look at. Do you think it could be a place where ships land, like a landing
Yeah.
pad?
It could be.
Um,
It could be.
This is wild.
Mhm.
So yeah, guys, let me actually get this website for you guys, and I will put it in the chat for everybody in the chat to check it out. I needed to learn. I needed to do more research into North Carolina. My family is from South Carolina, so I need to look more into North Carolina because North Carolina is a little bigger than South Carolina. There's all these different websites. When I was looking at the Devil's Tramping Ground that have to do with like different paranormal. Now, speaking of North Carolina, the state, with the Tramping Ground now, is it owned privately or is it owned by the government?
Private. It's private. And well, it's I don't know if it's like a family that owns it. I mean, they've got a website too. You can book your campsite right there beside it. I mean, you got to book a campsite. You got to, you go pay to get a
Pay to
site
play.
over there. Yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
go see it. I wouldn't camp out by it, but I would definitely go look at it. They say dogs. Did I read that?
animals don't like that.
They don't
Yeah.
like it. They
It's
don't
just,
like to hear it.
it's just like Mel's Hole. Animals go around it. Like birds will not fly over it. Birds don't fly over the Devil's Tramping Ground.
Yeah.
Animals are diverted from it. Like they don't want to have anything to do with it. And also there's another place. And actually on the show that I did with Barry, I combined the target for the Devil's Tramping Ground with these Siberian cauldrons as well. Are you familiar with the Siberian cauldrons?
No, let me look them up.
Okay, look up the Siberian they're like copper. They look like copper cauldrons, and so I'll read this if you want me to read it, so you can hear, because the animals were stay away from these things as well, and these things were actually radiating. I guess they had radiation in them, and people, in Siberia it's really cold, so hunters throughout the years would like go. These things just showed up out of the blue. These cauldrons. Some people thought they were maybe UFOs or some kind of spacecraft. Well, hunters would go and they would seek shelter within these cauldrons sometimes, and then they'd end up dying because I think they were getting cancer. Like they were getting really sick. But in Siberia, there's a place called the Valley of Death, over 62,000 miles of mostly uncharted land. According to legend, a major battle in the sky occurred there about 800 years ago, where fire and explosions were caused by what locals believed was a battle between the gods. After this event, strange metal structures were seen scattered around the land. Many travelers and locals reported seeing what they described as large upside-down cauldrons made of what looks like copper, and it became known as the Cauldrons of Siberia. Police reported, not police, sorry, people reported that the structures were always warm inside, no matter how cold it was outside. So hunters who sought shelter in them for a prolonged periods died, seemingly of symptoms like radiation poisoning. And in 1971, an old hunter claimed that he had come across a large harpoon near one of these domes and encountered large one-eyed people, giants that had one eye in the middle of their face like a cyclops inside, and they were wearing clothes of iron. They were wearing metal outfits, probably like a suit of armor. Many believe many people believe the domes were the results of Soviet secret military experiments from the 1950s, and others believe they were underground bunkers to protect from an alien threat. And some theorize they were brought there by aliens, or they are crashed UFOs. And
that show we had as kids, there was a song. It was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Yeah. Well, there have been skulls found of people with just one eye in the middle of their head. I mean, cyclops people.
I'm gonna have to look more into that, guys, on my channel. We'll definitely, because that is wild. I mean, there's just so much we just don't know. I mean, again, we're not in the density of knowing, but what do you think they are, Jessica? What's your thought? I mean, I know you remote viewed it with do you think they're spaceships or remnants of such? Do you think they're government?
Let me look at the data. I can tell you what my data says. I actually have that right here. Let's see. Ooh, the first thing that sticks out to me, it says, because this is a while back when I did this. I take a break. Stargates and jump rooms. Yeah, I think they could have an ET element to them. It says sacrifice. That was the first word I wrote down for that. Take me back in the beginning. World War I, Stargate jump rooms and consciousness. Let me look at the next page. Oh, this was another place where it was like a power station. Whatever this is was used like a power station, power up operations, MO, like modus operandi, engine power generator, creating energy flow, gravitational force, G-force, and vibrational. There's some kind of spinning, moving. I think that it was I think they were used as some sort of like dare I say, like nuclear power source or something. I don't know, some kind of ancient power.
At the Soviets, yeah, like I think there's still stuff we don't know about, and I like the bringing up Tartaria. I mean, that's a whole topic about that. there's all this missing timeline we don't know what our real history is, and so who knows if things are left over from Tartaria, like who knows. The giants, I've
Yeah.
covered the giants, like it's crazy. And yes, so she got that the devil's tramping gown was kind of like a portal, like a vortex. So
Yeah.
I think we should go there, Jessica. I know we keep
Yes.
taking all these trips, but we are serious. There's places in Tennessee Todd wants to go. I think we should take a road trip. I think I think it'd be cool to do like a traveling, like where we'll take you to all you come to the South and
Yes.
we'll take you to all these places. So
Yes, I'm gonna have internet too. We'll take some internet. We'll do some live shows from the road. That'd be amazing.
that would be
Yeah.
so fun. I really want to do that, guys. And we do have some stuff in the works kind of leading into that direction, because it's no sense to just constantly talking about this stuff. I mean, I feel like, Jessica, we are in like the heart of strangeness in the
Mhm.
deep South. I feel like that's why the deep South is so eccentric, is because it's been weird the whole time. That's just part of our flavor in the South, right?
Yes.
Um, I absolutely. Well, yeah, and there's probably more than one area 51 too. I mean, Skinwalker Ranch, like when I covered the Conjuring House, which I covered that a few weeks ago, and my whole thing was like, this ain't nothing compared to haunted houses in the South. Like my whole thing, Jessica, was like, if you send a Southern family up there for 2 years, a mother, a father, children, that matriarch will have those ghosts doing chores within 6 months. You just wait and
Oh my
see.
God, making go sweet. We said that at the conference a couple weeks ago. We're like, if your house is haunted, put them to work.
Put him to work. Like that's just but I got when my gut was telling me within the it's not like the house is haunted, but it's the land that's more like a skinwalker situation. Yeah, girl, move back. The deep South. I love being from the deep South. I'm like, we are eccentric AF, and I love it. I love that all of our mamas go to church on Sunday, but read tarot cards on Sunday night, and that is normal down here. I love that it is totally normal to leave a bottle of whiskey and a Bible at a grave. Like I love that about the South. So actually near Valdosta, Georgia, have you seen the story of the gas station that disappears and people time travel? It's a gas station. I can't get the exact location. No one will say it on a show, but it's near Valdosta, Georgia, which is South Georgia. Like Valdosta is like the last city before you hit Florida.
Mhm.
And there's all these stories of people pulling off I-75 basically. Oh no, it's 85, isn't it? It's 85. That's 85 that goes through. Is it 85?
Yeah, I think it'd be 85 because 70. Yeah, because that's on the west side of the state, so it's over there.
So it's
75 goes towards like Savannah, I think, like that way.
whatever freeway that is that goes
Mhm.
through Valdosta going to Florida, which that's you're getting into swampland, like to the east is
Okefenokee.
yeah, like that's a very different terrain than like Appalachia. 75. Thank you, Amy. There was we have all these freeways, guys. Sorry. The one
We
that goes
do.
to Valdosta. There's a gas station that people talk about they get off of, and they have these experiences where they get off and like they go into it and they feel like they're back in the 80s, and they'll submit these stories and they'll run out because they're freaked out, and they'll say, oh my God, my dad in the 80s told me about people from the future that came in, but he's dead now. It is wild. So there's like these portals
Mhm.
all over. I mean, we live in like the creme de la creme of like paranormal weird shit. And that's why we have
We
people
do.
like beautiful. I was thinking about Mahalia Lancaster the other day because I think she brought us together. We have all
Oh
these
yeah.
women down here that are powerful and still working and still protecting. And so I think, Jessica, we've already been on for an hour and a half. And so I thank you so much for giving us this time, giving up your time today to tell us
Of
all these
course.
stories. So what's coming up on your channel? What can we expect this week on your channel?
Oh my gosh, I have what 3 more shows this week. I had one yesterday, which was fantastic. So I have a glitch in the matrix tomorrow at 1 p.m. I don't know, that topic is to be determined. But on Thursday night, I do have Jimmy Payne coming back on my show. He is a former MIB, and we are going to be discussing. He's going to tell us all about the LBJ Ranch, the Lyndon B. Johnson Ranch out of Texas, the
Yeah.
connections to how they train the MIBs there to do cattle mutilations, and how that connects into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and also Linda Moulton Howe and her investigation into cattle mutilations. We're going to get into the Israeli government and all sorts of crazy stuff. It's a rabbit hole like we have never. I mean, we've been down some rabbit holes, but
I'm
it's
so
going to be a fun
excited
one.
about that. Yeah, guys, make sure you check that out.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
That's Thursday. I'm gonna have
Thursday
to
night.
Thursday night. I'll probably
yeah.
be asleep. I'll have to watch it on Friday. But yeah, Angel, Valdosta. I mean, Amy's in Valdosta. Valdosta is an interesting town. It's an interesting town. I have family from Quitman, which is right outside of Valdosta. Apparently, my 2 times great grandfather haunts his old house in Quitman, which is now a flower shop. That's weird. When you read about your ancestor haunting a place, I feel like I should go down there and be like, Stanley, it's your great great granddaughter. Time you got to move on. You got
go to the light.
Go to the light, bro.
Get out of here.
26.
Get on,
You haven't been around for a while. Your granddaughter is now gone. Like my granddaughter is gone. So absolutely. So and you guys, for my channel, so tomorrow, which is Wednesday, April 1, Tamara is going to be back on. We've already pre-recorded it with our forecast at her horoscope and forecast. Jessica has met Tamara. She speaks highly of Jessica. She's going to be coming, or we're going to be airing that tomorrow. And then Thursday, I'm going to be doing brain rot with Catherine Edwards. We're going to talk about brain rot. And then Jerry, your friend Jerry, he's on Friday for the first time. So make sure to check out all of those shows, guys. And Jessica, you have another Bigfoot conference coming up in April, which we're going to be there too. April 25th. You want to give our audience some information about that?
Yes. Well, it's a Bigfoot town hall, and I thought it was going to be a small event. It's getting to be bigger than I was expecting. But yes, I live over in the northwest side of Georgia. And so we're doing a Bigfoot town hall in Whitesburg, Georgia at a park called McIntosh Reserve Park. That's April the 25th. It's an all-day event. We're going to probably get going around 10 o'clock, maybe 9. I don't know. I'm going to say 10. Okay, 10 a.m. All day. And I want the community to come out and tell us your stories, any kind of encounters that you've had in either West Georgia, anywhere in Georgia, or even in Alabama, wherever you're from. But I'm really looking for, to connect with the community, first of all, and just to I'm going to be bringing in some cryptid field researchers, some of my friends. I'm going to be speaking there, and we're going to talk about our experiences in the area. I might even get my sister to talk about her little creature that she saw, or actually her ex-husband saw in their backyard in West Georgia a few years ago. And any kind of cryptid or weird thing, even UFOs, whatever you got, y'all come and let's talk about it, and just have a good time. And I don't know if we're going to have, and I don't know what else going to happen there. We've got food trucks and vendors, and Bryce, you and Todd will be there.
We'll be there.
It's going to be fun.
Might even find some moonshine. No, just kidding.
Moonshine. Well, it's actually, the park is right on the Chattahoochee River. It's beautiful out there. And for people who aren't familiar with McIntosh Reserve, it's actually where Chief McIntosh lived. I think his name was Chief William McIntosh, I think. He and his whole family were like massacred on that land right there.
Wow,
and
there's a lot there. That West Georgia is
by their own people.
It's beautiful. Yeah. The area is gorgeous. Georgia is gorgeous anyway. It's a beautiful state. Yeah, we'll be there. Todd's going to be bringing some of his boards, his loo boards down there. It's a good time. It's a good time to be had by all. And it's a bunch of people who've had weird experiences. So you're not alone. You can let your freak flag fly because nobody's judging you. Like everybody's had an experience, and it's so fun to meet other people. It's just really cool to hang out with everybody. And so as we get closer, Jessica, send me all the information so we can post it for people, posters, flyers. If people want to participate, like then to have a table there, do they reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yes, you can go to my website, thecryptidhuntress.com. And well, actually you can get tickets. Well, just go to my website, thecryptidhuntress.com, and you can find, just scroll down just a little ways and you'll see the West Georgia Bigfoot Town Hall. Click on that and you can purchase tickets. There's actually a website where you go get tickets. It's georgiabigfoottownhall.com, but you can find that on my website. And anybody who's 18 and under gets in for free. Okay. Oh, and so adults, I think it's Dr. John's like, he's the one that put the website up, and I think tickets are like $10 for adults to get in that day. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. And
So
like I said, you can even go camp there. I mean, I don't have anything to do with the camping. So if anybody wanted to go camping, you got to make a reservation before you go. But you can camp there all weekend. They have, I don't think they have hookups for campers, but you can take your camper out there. And
if
stuff
people
too.
want to stay like in a hotel, what's the nearest town for them to find like a hotel?
Well, I would say Douglasville would be a good place. Either Douglasville, Georgia, Carrollton, Georgia is a good place. Probably Douglasville or Carrollton. Whitesburg's probably ain't gonna have no hotels. Okay, but
Some of these towns are real small, y'all. So
I mean, there might be. I mean, you can get an Airbnb or something. I'm sure there's a bunch of them along the way there.
Yeah.
So just look up Whitesburg, Georgia, and I don't know, put it in your GPS and find a place, y'all. I don't know.
I mean, we're in Atlanta. We're not that far, but for us, spending all day, we'll probably stay the night too, just because we're old. We don't have to drive that late. So it's so funny. My brother-in-law is from Douglasville, and he's so funny because his mom's is Italian, like full on Italian, and his dad is very Southern. And people ask Steven, like, "Where are you from, bro? Like, what's?" And he's like, "Well, you know, my mom's Italian and my dad's from Douglasville." They're like, "No, like, but where?" He's like, "Douglasville." They're like, "No, where?" Like, ancestry wise, he's like, "Douglasville."
Born and raised in Douglasville.
So,
yeah.
So anyway, but thank you so much, Jessica, and thank you everybody in the chat. This has been so fun. I cannot wait to do it again. Please let us know if there are any stories you want us to cover. I still want to go out to Fort Mountain Park with you, where they have here in Georgia, where they have the Moon-eyed people remains.
Yeah.
Both have covered the Moon-eyed people, which really blows our history out of the water. If you look at the Moon-eyed people, I mean, they have a whole park that has their remains. So anyway, you guys, make sure. So I have put the links to Jessica's website in the chat, as well as a link to her video going over the Dogman incident in Ohio. Again, if you are not subscribed to Jessica's channel, you are missing out. Please make sure that you subscribe to the Cryptid Huntress and help us out, because we are not controlled opposition. In fact, the establishment doesn't like us very much, because we're like, no thanks to them. So help us out by hitting the hype button on my videos, on Jessica's videos, leaving a comment, hitting the like button. That really does help us with the algorithms. All right, girl. Well, I'm going to hit the end button. Stay on camera, though. Let it play out. And yeah, we'll see you guys very soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.